Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Sarcoidosis UK video. Today I'm delighted to be joined by a special guest. He is, many of you will know him, he is our patient, our ambassador for the charity, and he is going to be talking to us today about the fantastic events that he's getting involved with. But first of all, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everyone who's been getting involved with our Awareness Month already. We've seen so many of you signing up to challenges, whether it be the Warrior Walk or building your own marathons, and it's so great to see so many of you getting involved, and we cannot thank you enough for all of your support. If you've not signed up to one of the challenges, there is still time. We've got the rest of the month, so if you do want to find out more, you can get into contact with me directly at charlene@sarcoidosisuk.org, and there are various other ways that you can get involved with Awareness Month. We've got graphics that you can share to your social media, and we'll have new items coming out in our shop very soon, and other things that we'll be launching throughout the month. We've also got a Spotify playlist fundraiser, which you can add your own song to, and there are various other ways to get involved. So do be sure to check out the Awareness Month page, which is over on our website. And as I said, if you do want any more information about that, then do get in contact with us. But thank you so much, Henry, for joining us. I'm delighted to welcome you. So thank you again.
Thank you very much indeed, Charlene, for inviting me on your chat show today.
It's great to have you. Many of you will have seen the video that we already did with Henry, and we interviewed him a couple of months ago, which the video is still available on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter channels, where Henry spoke about his experience with sarcoidosis. So if you haven't seen that, then I do recommend you go check it out. But for today, we're going to be talking about the events that he's taken part in this year. So he's got a fantastic lineup of exciting events coming up. And this is all to help raise awareness of sarcoidosis and also help Sarcoidosis UK receive some vital funding. So Henry, do you want to tell people a bit about what you've got going on and the exciting things you've got coming up?
Absolutely, Charlene. Well, to start off with, I've already started the journey of competition. I first participated in what you call the Cotswolds Cross Sportive, which was in March, at the end of March. Completed 75 kilometers of that in the Cotswolds, and that was really very challenging. I've also completed what you call a duathlon, the Thuxton Sportive Duathlon, which happened last week Sunday, and that was a really extremely exciting event, quite frankly. It gives me an understanding of exactly where I am, the World Championships, which is the big thing. Now, in April, what I intend to do is to do what you call 4 marathons as part of the Build Your Own Marathon. And the person who actually inspired me to do that was a lady called Juliet Coffer. When I saw Juliet on your program, I think it was last week, talking about what she was going to do. And of course, having looked at Julia, Julia is obviously, walking around with this oxygen tank attached. So it must be extremely difficult, and the pain that she's going through. So she inspired me. So therefore, I'm actually going to do 4 marathons, literally 1 marathon every single week for the whole of April, to to build that awareness, which is so important for sarcoidosis. On the 29th of May, I will also be participating in the Prudential 100 cycle bike ride. And then in June, I'll be representing Great Britain at the World Championship Triathlon, 8 group triathlon championships in Canada. So I'm looking forward to this one, quite frankly. In July, I come back and I also climb the 3 peaks. The 3 peaks consist of the highest 3 mountains in the UK. So we're looking at Scotland, we're looking at England, and we're looking at Wales. So hopefully I can actually achieve the objective, which I set out to do within 24 hours. So the next phase, of course, is to do a number of small events. That is in July. And in August, I also take on in September, sorry, I take on what you call an Ironman 70, which is going to be held in Weymouth. So I'm looking forward to these events. I'm hoping to actually take up and continue the challenges from September, either small challenges or anything at all. But what the big challenge will actually come presumably next year, when I will look forward to what you call climbing a big mountain somewhere in the Himalayas. That's really the objective. So it's really a working up to achieve that sort of thing. But I'm delighted to be able to what you call do these events for sarcoidosis. I think one of the great inspirations are people like Juliet, all the people who work extremely hard. And so basically at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to doing these events.
That's fantastic, Henry. It sounds like you've got a very jam-packed calendar coming up for sure. But we really appreciate everything you're doing to support the charity, and it really does mean so much to us. As you touched on there, we obviously did a video with Juliet. Many of you would have seen that recently, where she was speaking about the challenge that she did both last year and what she is doing this year, which you mentioned there, Henry. You were inspired to do your own challenge. So for anyone watching, this really is proof that the challenges really is what you make it. For Juliet, she's doing her hallway hike, but for Henry, it's something completely different. So this is an opportunity to really make it what you can and have an opportunity to create your own fundraiser this month to support Sarcoidosis UK, which is really fantastic. So we spoke a bit last time about raising awareness, Henry. I think it's only fitting, seeing that it's Sarcoidosis Awareness Month, that we touch on that a bit and a bit about why it's so important that we raise awareness of this disease. So what do you think on that, and why do you think it's so important that we do this not just in April but all year round?
Well, I think it's very important, Charlene, for a number of reasons. I suffered with sarcoidosis for many, many years, and I know the effect it had upon me and my family. But more importantly, I also found out that not a lot of people understand sarcoidosis. Doctors, nurses, literally many people in the outside world don't really understand sarcoidosis. So it's important to build the awareness. And one of the things that I would like to see going forward, it becomes a topic of discussion. It becomes openly available. People in schools, children in schools understand what sarcoidosis is. People in the workplace understand what sarcoidosis is, because patients like myself go through an awful lot. And a lot of people on the outside or in the external environment don't really understand it. So it's important from my point of view as a patient to talk about it, to educate people about it. And that's the other side. Training and development. One of the issues that I found out whilst I was ill was doctors didn't quite understand what sarcoidosis was. All right, so therefore we need a lot more training and development within the medical profession, so that when a patient goes to see a doctor, they understand precisely what they're dealing with. We need what you call greater research. Research is key. Not only in terms of the conventional side of things, but also the unconventional side of things. And what I really mean by that is, of course, around in what you call nutrition and exercise. Nutrition and exercise plays a very, very important role in recovery. And this is a sort of strategy that I have used. And sometimes in life, we seem to go down or continue going down the wrong path. We need to be able to change, look at things slightly differently and openly and more transparently, and decide that, well, maybe this is not right. Let's go down this track. So we need to understand the importance of nutrition and exercise. And this is really an area that I think that hasn't even actually been looked at. And it's an area that I think a lot of physiotherapists can actually get involved in. Not only in terms of and simply because of the fact that they understand the physiology of the body, they can recommend the right sort of exercises that people suffering from sarcoidosis can do and should do. Not only that, but at the same time, they can advise. So doctors who may not have the time to deal with the patients, physiotherapists might be able to take up that challenge. So I would like to see that. More research obviously needs to be done. And Sarcoidosis UK plays a very, very important part where that is concerned. And research not only in terms of what you call understanding the disease as such, but coming up with alternatives. So for example, when you look at the actual template that is used to determine whether a patient suffers from sarcoidosis or not, last in that template is a biopsy. Well, why can't we have a quick win and shift the biopsy, right? Analysis right at almost at the start of the process. But of course, we need data. We need to understand what this disease is all about. And so by doing that, by shifting that, what it really means is that it saves on time, it saves on money, because at this particular point in time, the anxiety that builds up with the patient having to go through this constant analysis on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, which takes sometimes 15 months, 2 years before you can actually be diagnosed with sarcoidosis, right? Is ridiculous. We need to be able to move the goalposts a lot quicker. We need to be able to look at that process and reanalyze that process. And I think that is a quick win and would benefit the patient enormously. The other thing that I think we need to do really is inspiration, awareness, inspiration. People like me, people like Juliet, and Juliet spoke very eloquently about her suffering of sarcoidosis, how Sarcoidosis UK supports these type of people, because a lot of the time when you were ill, you look out for somebody that you can communicate to, somebody who understands what you're going through. And sometimes it's just really lend me your ears sort of thing. And so that is really the important role Sarcoidosis UK has to play going forward. The supportive role is very, very important. The advice and information that you supply, Sarcoidosis UK supplies, is extremely important. So building the awareness is not only a question of me participating in those activities, it's also trying to break down the stereotypes. It's trying to make people understand the importance and the difficulty patients have dealing with this particular issue. Because normally, when you have sarcoidosis, you go to a doctor, the doctor would actually say, okay, fine, this is the cycle. It might disappear in a couple of years' time. But for patients like me, it never did disappear. It stayed with me for many, many, many years, and it affected every aspect of my being. So therefore, we need to be able to, what you call, understand the nature of this particular disease a lot more. And we need to re-educate people in making them greater aware of what this disease does and the impact this disease has on our families. So really, awareness is key.
Definitely. I think you've put that really well, Henry. You've kind of touched on so many different areas there, from kind of the impact that awareness has and the research that's needed and the kind of developments that we still need across so many different areas to do with sarcoidosis and helping to improve the lives of people that are affected by the disease. But as I said, it's really important that this awareness carries on throughout the year. We're so proud of all the work that Sarcoidosis UK does, and we're really trying to propel that even further in 2022, which is important not just in April, but throughout the entire year. I'm aware that some people would have just discovered our charity recently as a result of Sarcoidosis Awareness Month. So if you are new here, then welcome. Thank you so much for supporting us. Just to highlight a few of the kind of resources that we've got available for people, if you aren't aware, we do have a Sarcoidosis UK nurse helpline, and that is run by some sarcoidosis nurses. They have both professional and personal experience of sarcoidosis, and we can book you in to speak to them if you need questions answered about your disease and kind of what you're going through. We have really excellent website resources. We've got different web pages, various different videos with clinicians, consultants, specialists across the country on various different topics. We have information leaflets, as well as so much more over on our website. And also, of course, we do have our general Sarcoidosis UK phone number that you are able to call from Mondays to Fridays. So if you are new here and you kind of need a bit of guidance, or you do need some extra support, then please do get in touch with us. We're delighted that the message is getting out there about Sarcoidosis Awareness Month, but of course that means people are coming to us who might not have heard of us before, so we want to make sure that we're supporting you in the best way possible and that you are aware of all the services that we provide. So just in terms of then kind of, Henry, speaking to people who don't know about sarcoidosis, how do you reckon one starts that conversation up? So say a sarcoidosis patient wants to increase awareness amongst a group of people, maybe at their work, or another environment where a lot of people don't understand what the disease is. What are your recommendations for starting up that conversation and getting people to empathize for something that they don't know anything about?
Well, as the ambassador for Sarcoidosis UK, I am doing my bit. So I have started the process. I have started my battle in terms of what you call the events that I'll be undertaking during the course of the year. Primarily to, so for example, people could just turn up, let's say, at a 5K event on a Saturday and have a banner or have a T-shirt. And by doing that, it exposes the actual charity. So people, we want to start the conversation. That is the first thing. So how do we start that conversation? Sometimes it's very, very difficult, but we have to be out there. We have to showcase the charity for what it is. We have to start going into organizations and approaching organizations and talking about sarcoidosis. We have to talk to our friends and our family, our business partners, our employees about the impact of sarcoidosis, So it's really a question of engaging with society in all aspects and bringing out the importance of talking about being transparent. This sarcoidosis issue is my problem because I suffered from it. So I feel responsible. I feel that I have a duty to go out and tell the world about it so that the world becomes educated. They understand it a lot better. And I think a lot of people who suffer from sarcoidosis do the same. There are many, you have the London group and you have John in the London group who is doing a fantastic job, who's trying to get people together, who's trying to get a common understanding of this particular disease. Bringing people together is essential. So there are many different little things that we can do. One of the good things that I think, from my point of view, sport is essential. Because when I go to my gym, I literally talk about it with the people that I know. And I try to inspire them to change as well, to understand the importance of physical exercise. But then they look at me and realize, my goodness, if I can do it, they should be able to do it. And that is really what it's all about. It's building those bridges. It's basically trying to spread the word in the best way that you can. And every sarcoidosis patient has a kind of responsibility. That's the way that I think, to engage with the outside world, to ensure that we do talk about our experiences so that the outside world will be able to, what you call, help us achieve a test. This is where research comes into. So this is really the key thing for me. It's really a question of the responsibility and trying to put this thing out there because I think it's really very important.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you, Henry. And I think it's a really easy way to kind of support both Sarcoidosis UK and the sarcoidosis community at large this month. Even just something simple like having a conversation with your friends, family, work colleagues, or anyone else. If you can just teach one person about sarcoidosis this month that previously wasn't aware, you're really helping to make such a great difference overall. So it's something that everyone can do. And the more kind of support that we get, the more conversation that we get going about sarcoidosis, particularly this month, the greater help it'll be. So thanks so much, Henry, for chatting to us today about all the events you've got coming up. As I said,
can I just say one thing, Charlene? Sorry to cut you short there, but when I participated at Thruxton not too long ago, which was last week, I had the sarcoidosis banner, and I put the sarcoidosis banner outside and displayed it. And you will not believe the number of people who came up to me and asked me about sarcoidosis. Just a simple thing like that. So the great thing about going to Thruxton was not necessarily to participate in the duathlon, but was for me, but predominantly what actually transpired was that I educated people. So they will now leave Thruxton and go and look up sarcoidosis. Well, what is this illness all about? So they will begin to ask the questions, and that is really the key.
No, I think that's completely right. And that's why we've introduced our social media graphics that are shareable. So if you are able to go out and go to an event with a kind of banner, or you can talk to people, that's fantastic. If you're not, then simply doing something like that over social media, you know, sharing one of our awareness graphics, or we've got more infographics that are being released this month, simply sharing something like that to your platform of followers, and that can really get a conversation going, and it could prompt someone to ask you questions, or, you know, find out more for themselves about the disease. So it really is as simple as that. I'd also like to draw your attention to the fact that we have got a patient day coming up at the end of the month. This is happening on the 28th of April. So if you haven't already, do definitely register for that. It's going to be a fantastic event. It's from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. There are 8 different sessions, and we'll be hearing from consultants and specialists throughout the country. And it's really going to be a fantastic event with a lot of very valuable information for sarcoidosis patients. So if you haven't done so, be sure to register for that. Of course, our work is only possible without your generosity. If you are able to, please consider making a donation to Sarcoidosis UK. It helps more than you know. We don't receive any government funding, so we're extremely reliant on your generosity and your donations. Really, any amount is appreciated. So if you are able to, please do make a donation to Sarcoidosis UK. Thanks so much again, Henry, for joining us today. It's always great chatting to you. And as I said at the start of the video, if you guys haven't yet checked out the fuller interview that we did with Henry about his experience with sarcoidosis, then do be sure to check that out. It was also fantastic and great to learn a bit more about your experience. But yes, guys, I think that's all from us today. But the kind of key takeaways, we really want to get the conversation about sarcoidosis going this month. So talk to people if you can, have that conversation. And of course, if you're able to do more, if you're able to fundraise for us, support us in any way, it is always extremely appreciated. So thank you so much to everyone who's got involved so far. Thank you again, Henry. Great to hear from you. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next time.
Thank you very much indeed, Charlene, again for having me on. And support and support and support Sarcoidosis UK.
Thank you very much, Henry. Great to have you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.